Well, welcome everyone. We're very excited for this edition of Shumla's Lunch and Learn. It's May 2024. Today we have the second of 4 Hearthstone Project results episodes of our Lunch and Learn. Diana Radillo Rolón is going to present to us following the Lunch and Learn that happened last April that David Kine presented, and building into the 2 that will come. The next one will be Karen Steelman, third Wednesday of next month, and the one after that will be Carolyn Boyd. So, Diana, let me just turn it right over to you. You can take it away.
Hey, thank you, and hello, everybody. Welcome to this Lunch and Learn, and thank you for joining us today. Like Jessica said, this is the second of 4 presentations sharing the results of Hearthstone Project. This project is a collaborative study undertaken by Texas State University and Shumla Archaeological Research and Education Center. Today, I will show how the murals were woven together in a complex composition. I'll use as an example the iconic panel of Faith Bell Shelter in Seminole Canyon State Park. Okay, in 2016, Carolyn Boyd and Kim Cox identified patterns in Pecos River-style rock art similar to myths of the ancient Nahua and the present-day Huichol. The identification of these patterns led to their interpretation of the White Shaman mural as a pictorial narrative relating to the birth of the sun and the beginning of time. They suggested that the Huichol, Nahua, and Lower Pecos narratives are variants of the same creation story, evidence of an archaic core of beliefs that have persisted across time and cultural, linguistic, and geographic boundaries. Further, Boyd's analysis of the mural's stratigraphy using digital microscopy revealed a strict paint application order. The artists applied all black paint first, followed by red, then yellow, and finally white. He argued that this provided evidence that the mural is a single composition, a cohesive narrative, not a random collection of images painted across time. In 2020, the Hearthstone Project was created as an interdisciplinary research that utilizes methods from the fields of archaeology, chemistry, iconography, ethnology, and art history to glean information from Pecos River-style art. To fund the project, the PIs, Karen Stillman, Carolyn Boyd, and Phil Daring, were awarded 2 grants, one from the National Endowment for the Humanities and the other from the National Science Foundation. The Hearthstone Project is focused on the Pecos River-style pictographs in the Lower Pecos Canyonlands. We studied 10 Pecos River-style murals in total: Panther Cave, Faith Bell, Halo Shelter, Eagle Cave, Raymond's Shelter, Cammy's Corner, Teran Canyon Gallery, Studder's Wall, Jaguar Shelter, and Jackrabbit Shelter. The Lower Pecos Canyonlands is a sacred landscape that was the ancestral land of indigenous groups for at least 13,000 years. In this map, you can see the area situated within the Grand Chichimeca at the edge of the Edwards Plateau and the Chihuahuan Desert. This includes Southwest Texas and the northern of Mexico. Pecos River-style murals. These murals were produced throughout the Archaic period, beginning around 5,400 years ago and continuing in production as recent as 1,300 years ago. They are polychromatic and range in size from more than 100 meters to less than 10 meters. This is a section of Cedar Springs. They portray humans, animals, and a wide variety of enigmatic figures that are not identifiable as either human or animals. We can see here a human, enigmatic, and a little animal here. Previously, in our Launch and Learn, David Kime shared both the methods to collect the data in the field and the results obtained to know the rule of painting sequencing. Previously, we learned that there are consistent rules of paint application at multiple mural sites across the region. We observe the same color application order for 99% of more than 1,000 locations analyzed across the murals. The artists followed a strict painting sequence when applying the color. First black, then red, then orange, then yellow, and finally white. We follow the same protocols to document and analyze each rock art panel. Those protocols include panel maps and figure lists, figure photography, microscopic analysis of intersecting paint layers, and creation of Harris matrices to diagram mural stratigraphy. Finally, the production of digital renderings of each mural. Here we can see the team working in Panther Cave, Halo Shelter, and Fate Bell. Here, the team working in Cammy's Corner, Jaguar Shelter, and Jackrabbit Shelter. Here, the team working in Eagle Cave, Raymond's Shelter, Studer's Wall, and Seiran Canyon Gallery. Here, I want to say, Joomla's goal is preservation. So it's our responsibility to take care of rock art. We are respectful with the environment, the sites, the murals, and the rock art. We avoid set up our gear on the painted walls. We are careful with the scope, with the gear, and careful and respectful every time in every site, in every single site. And yeah, sometimes you should stay in the same position. It hurts, but it's part of the job, and we need to resist to take the best photograph. Okay, so today we will learn how to create a graphic diagram of the painting sequence to recreate the original composition and identify interwoven figures on a mural painted in one episode. We will answer the question, are Pecos river-style murals compositional in structure? To answer the question, I'll use a 15-meter Fate Bell panel as an example. The team used a panel map and figure list to guide and track microscopy data collection at Fate Bell. Panel maps are this stretch and has gigapanoramas with a unique reference code assigned for each figure. Those are our guide for data collection. The figure list complements our panel maps. This document describes each figure, has notes about intersecting paint layers, and a list of targeted locations for digital microscopy. Here we can see the team working at Fate Bell using the panel map and the figure checklist. The team also used a handheld digital microscope. We took photomicrographs of each place where the layers of paint intersect to determine the sequence in which the colors were applied to the wall. Here you can see an example of yellow over red here, and below that red over black. We took 3 different types of photographs. Context photography, to document the general view of the location under analysis. Macro photos, to document a close-up view of the location. And photomicrographs, to observe paint layers magnified between 50 and 200 times. The numbers seen here show how many photos of each type we have collected for Fayetteville. Context photos, macro photos, and photomicrographs. Returning from the field, we analyzed the photos on the computer. The process consists of reviewing photomicrographs and macro photos to determine which color is above and which is below. Here in this photo, we have an example of yellow above the red and its determination. At least 2 researchers make independent stratigraphic determinations when there are discrepancies. A third analyst reviews the photos and issues a final determination. We then enter the determinations into Harris Matrix Composer software, which is used to diagram the stratigraphic sequence of an archaeological excavation. On a painted panel, the layers of paint are units of stratification, equivalent to soil layers in an archaeological site. We have adapted the program for diagramming mural stratigraphy to recreate its chronological sequence. Since 1990, a few researchers have applied the Harris matrix in rock art to study the superimposition of paintings or motifs on walls. For example, Harris matrix in European cave studies have linked styles to major technological changes in the excavated sequences to divide Upper Paleolithic art into a series of periods. The patterns reflected social structure and belief systems. In Colombia, Mexico, Australia, and South Africa, some studies have clarified regional rock art sequences that help to understand the rules of syntax and explain rituals, beliefs, and cosmologies. Some of those studies have used the matrix to explain the superposition of figures. So each figure is a unit of stratification in that studies. In this image, we see that one figure can include 1 color, 2 colors, or 3 colors. One figure can include just black, one figure can include black, red, and white, or red and white. So each figure is a unit of stratification. For us, it's a little different. For us, each node in a Harris matrix represents a single unit of stratification. Each color layer within each figure is a unit of stratification. We built the matrix up from the narrowest level of analysis to the broadest level, which will ultimately be the entire mural. Here, the T represents the interface of the uppermost layer of paint with the atmosphere. The ground unit, the G, represents the interface of the bottommost layer of paint with the shelter wall. Each arrow in the Harris matrix diagram represents the stratigraphic relations between the paint layers and these 2 units, the atmosphere and the wall. So for this figure here is A4. We have 4 units of stratification: black, red, yellow, and white. The green dots in the illustration indicate the locations where we collected photomicrographs. In those places, there is an intersection between 2 or more paint colors. Now we can extend the matrix to include other figures. This time we see that the paint colors of A1, A4, and A5 follow the rule. The figures interact with each other, becoming interwoven as in a textile. As we can see in the matrix, in all three figures, black was applied first, then red, then orange, then yellow, and finally white. This is the completed matrix for the section of Fayetteville we analyzed. We can see how colors are above or below each other using the principle of superposition, which establishes that the layers are deposited in sequential order. We have here the matrix. At the 15-meter Fayetteville panel, the artists followed a strict sequence when applying the color. Let's see the sequence. First, they apply in black, then red, then orange, then yellow, and finally white. After the analysis, Caroline created full panel renderings of 3 murals in Adobe Photoshop. Every unit of stratification included in the matrix is represented as an individual Photoshop layer ordered according to the results of the stratigraphic analysis. Each layer is ordered according to our analysis. With funding received from the National Science Foundation, we followed the same process to conduct stratigraphic and radiocarbon analysis for additional Pecos River-style murals. Here, I'm using Eagle Cave as an example. The green dots are microscopy locations, and the yellow dots are radiocarbon sampling locations. Each mural followed the same paint application order and showed that the paint layers were interwoven. Here is the matrix for Eagle Cave, and they follow the same order: black, then red, and then yellow. This is Halo Shelter's matrix. At Halo, guided by the results of the stratigraphic study, we obtained radiocarbon dates for 13 figures across the mural. The dates are super tight, supporting the hypothesis that the mural is a single composition. A weighted average of all the pictographs dates at Halo is 2004 plus or minus 12 radiocarbon years PP, the 4%. The radiocarbon dates obtained for each mural statistically agree because each mural is a single composition. We are able to calculate a weighted average for each site, which is a better age estimation than any one single measurement. But if you want to know more about radiocarbon results, stay aware of Karen's presentation next month. Now, returning to the question posed until now in our previous and this Hearthstone Project results presentation, we can say yes. Our stratigraphic study demonstrates that Pecos River-style artists consistently follow the same color application order when painting the murals. The results of the stratigraphic study combined with the radiocarbon dates support the identification of these murals as a single composition, visual narratives produced during a single painting episode. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. That was quick. That's wonderful. Yes, so if you would like to ask Deanna questions, please feel free to type them into the chat, and we will have some question and answer. Yeah, stratigraphic stuff is really, really fascinating to archaeologists, and to to be able to do this with paint is really fantastic. So let me open up this chat. Thank you, Tim. We got a note that you did a great job, Deanna.
Thank you.
All right, here's a question from Ro. Since orange is not used in all the rock art, is there a correlation between orange and the radiocarbon date?
No,
I think the answer to that is we don't know yet.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, that is something that we will definitely be pursuing,
Mhm.
because that orange in the Fate Bell mural is so striking. And certainly there are oranges in other murals. You know, this is one of those other things that we just really hope students will get excited about asking these types of questions. What an amazing master's thesis that would make. To
Mhm.
just, you know, what data is currently available for the color orange? You know, what conclusions can be drawn? Um, so thank you for that question. All right, let me go back up. Rebecca, awesome and informative. Um, she said, I'm probably running behind a bit, but I thought there were only 4 paint colors used. Are there 5?
Yes, there are 5. When they used orange, we have black, red, orange, yellow, and white.
So we have in previous presentations just focused on the 4. Of course, orange
Mhm.
is the mixture of red and yellow.
Yellow.
So,
Mhm.
you know, in the past, in places where maybe the orange wasn't quite as striking as at Fate Bell, it hasn't
Yes.
necessarily been called its own color. It's been, you know, either leaning yellow or leaning red.
Mhm.
But in this mural specifically, that orange color feels like a very separate entity,
Yes,
and
it
in
is.
digital microscopy showed to be kind of between that red and yellow spot. So great question.
Yes. They definitely wanted to separate the layer and the color. The orange is vibrant and is interwoven with the other. So they did it on purpose, and they wanted to do it.
And you can be sure that there's a reason.
Mm.
We can be sure, again, another question like Rose suggested, you know, why in this mural, with the story that this mural is going to tell, would they be so specific about making that orange so vibrant? So, so much to learn. A question from Jessica: how do the colors relate to the images being painted? Is there a consistent reason the colors have been used to paint certain elements? We're probably going to get into that too with Carolyn's discussion
Yeah,
a bit more.
yes,
Yes,
but there is a reason, of course, related with the cosmology and with the myths and belief systems. So yeah,
yes.
there's a reason
So
they
the
are
short
related to.
answer is
Mhm.
yes, and the long answer is come back in July when Carolyn explains it. Mike asked, why did they follow this pattern over that long a period of time? Why is this so important?
Yeah, because it's part of the ancestral religion tradition, archaic tradition, and the colors are associated with moments and with things, and needs to follow the rule to create, as to be part of the creation. The birth of the sun, like I mentioned, the Caroline found in White Shaman mural, uh, is they follow this rule because it's the only way to prepare or to create the or to put the things for the birth of the sun. So it's or other myths. So that's the reason they are following the rule, and it's incredible and amazing how long, 4,000 years
Yeah.
following the rule.
Carolyn, go ahead.
If I can interject,
Yes.
thank you very much, Deanna. But this is kind of a preview, I guess, of what might come in July. So when I was with the Huichol, that was one of the questions I asked them. why would the artists of the murals of the Lower Pecos follow this rule of black, red, yellow, and white? And yes, orange too. Think of it as going from dark to light and everything in between, right? So gradients of red and orange and yellow and so forth. But why would they do it that way? And they looked at me like I was, kind of, oh, you poor girl, don't you understand? They said black had to go first because that was before the sun was born. And that's before anything else could be. You started with black because that is the origin of everything. And then you would get red, which is just before the sun comes up, and you look out on the horizon and you see that red crepuscular light. That's the red just before the sun is born. And then yellow is right after the sun is born. When it comes up and you get that first light of the dawn and the yellow glow that you get at that point, and that's why that yellow would be the next. And then white being the light of the noonday sun, when everything gets washed out, that bright white light. But what these are doing is following what happens that they watch, with the rising and the setting of the sun, both whether it's the sunrise or the sunset. You see that goes from the dark, the black, the red, the yellow, the white, from the white to the yellow, the red, the black. And so it is literally, according to the Huichol, the language of the gods. Following that paint sequence is painting creation and time into the murals themselves. Okay, I'll hush.
No, that's fantastic. A lot of the questions here are about what this means. And of course, that is exactly why we did this work, is to build upon the meaning and understand better the way that these compositions are created. But we will save some of that meaning discussion for Karen and Carolyn's, part 3 and part 4. And also, don't forget, if you're worried that you're not going to be able to join for any reason, if you sign up for the Lunch and Learn, you will receive the link to watch it. So you won't miss it. It'll just come to you in an email if you can't be there right when it's happening. And we also put them all up on YouTube and on our website. So answers forthcoming. All right, let's see. All right, so I'm gonna, forgive me, Cindy and Alicia and Carolyn, we're gonna skip some of the interpretive stuff. Please do come back for that. I'm gonna go to Dan. Has there been any evidence of blending black or white with each other or into the red or yellow?
Black and white? Yeah,
Make a gray?
oh, I don't think so.
Carolyn,
Making
maybe
gray. The black, yeah, the black is black gray, but no, I mean, the black has white a little.
We do have cases where they've mixed colors, where they've blended them together. White shaman, for example, the central stripe on the figure that everyone refers to as the white shaman is more of a gray as opposed to a black. So it's a mixture. And we've done some portable X-ray fluorescence on some dark reds, things that are really, really dark. And in those cases, they've come back with both manganese and the red ochre. So they are blending some of the colors together. And this is something we want to study more. Is it because you can bet that there's meaning that's carried in the way that they mix the paint.
Yeah, again, meaning in everything, always. Yes, more requests about interpretive, things related to Venus and Jupiter. Again, we'll definitely get to that. Ro and Alicia. Marilyn asked, this information makes me wonder how this paint and image process was passed down. Are all the images in different sites distinctly different? And again, this is something we want to study, these geographical studies about the way that motifs might be different, or the hand of the artist might be different across time, across geography. We need students to come and help us answer these questions. But yes, Deanna, please, do you have a sense about our, across this 4,000-year span?
I can say that Pecos River style has diagnostic attributes to be determined like a Pecos River style. But inside the styles, iconographically speaking, especially when a style is present during long time, we always have variations. But those variations still being part of the same style. And that's the interesting part, that we need the students, and we need more researchers, because it's imagine and study the variability of the style through all the time, because they are keeping diagnostic attributes, but of course we can see variation, and that's normal.
Yeah, absolutely. JK asked materials of the pigment colors. Oh, so maybe what the paint is made of.
Oh, that's Carolyn. She knows how to make that paint.
So we know what the mineral pigments are. The substances that gave the paint color are all mineral pigments. Manganese for black and red ochres, things like hematite for red, limonite for yellow. And there's still a lot of work being done on the white. It's, we're not exactly sure yet what the white is. That's something that Karen's wanting to explore more fully. Some of the preliminary studies that were done at A&M some time back, they were trying to extract ancient DNA from the paint, and when they did, they were able to identify that the binder, that substance that holds the mineral pigments together, came from either that of some kind of an ungulate, either bison or deer. So that's one of the hypotheses about what the binder is. They weren't able to replicate that later, so that's still not fully confirmed. But certainly, if you go to the ethnographic record, the use of animal fat as a binder is common. And then you needed some kind of an emulsifier to make it so that you could thin that paint out. Otherwise, what you end up with is just this big gooey mess when you mix the mineral pigments with the deer fat. So they used, we think, something like yucca, which is, the common name that you might be familiar with is called soap root. And that's exactly what it contains, saponins that act like a detergent that cause the fat to be able to break down and mix with water so that you can get a really nice fluid paint. And we've done a lot of experimental archaeology using those ingredients, and it does make a beautiful paint. It's just a satiny, lovely stuff, but it does not store well. I can attest to this. I kept some for a little bit too long in my little Tupperware container, and it went quite rancid. So anyway, and some of you out there, I can see Reen, have, I think, gone through this process when you've been out at Shumla and made paint using these natural ingredients. So it works extremely well. Now, all of that said, there may be other ingredients that are included that we don't know yet. And this is something that Dr. Steelman is really wanting to pursue. Just because they had animal fat doesn't mean that they weren't using other types of ingredients in there, things that may not have been necessary from a practical standpoint in terms of making paint, but were critically important from a spiritual standpoint as they imbue the paint with the divine essence of the deity, perhaps, that they are about to represent in the paintings. So there's a whole lot there yet that we have to learn.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was great. Anson shared contemporary painters will often use darker color to imply things that recede into a three-dimensional space, and lighter colors come forward. is there any evidence of that from the imagery? It doesn't seem that the artists of the Pecos River style were concerned with the way things look, but more about the way they mean, or more about what they mean, he asked.
Correct. They follow the rule because they were concerned to follow the order, the creation story. About the space or dimensions, to me, the murals have movement, our narratives, figures are interwoven, are interacting, are telling us stories. So when I see the murals, I can see different spaces or things happening in different spaces.
Yeah. So definitely three-dimensional, and certainly, but maybe not necessarily by color. You know, perhaps 3 dimensions is shown in size or in other aspects, maybe also color. Again, something that we
Yeah.
might find and look for.
But for sure in size and positions.
Yeah, awesome. All right, that looks like it's our last chat question. Oops, one more, Alicia. Can we identify when figures of the same color overlap?
That's a good question. Because red over red or black over black is really hard, sometimes really hard to see. If the red is dark, if we have a dark red and a light red, it's a little more easy. But yeah, we have some determinations, check it like indeterminate, because we tried with 3 or 4 different analysts and the 4 determinations were indeterminate, because it's a really good question. It's really hard to see sometimes. Black over black, I think, is the worst. It's really hard. It's really hard to see.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. Awesome. Any last questions for Deanna? So we have our June Lunch and Learn on June 19th with Karen Steelman. You can sign up for that right now on our website. You'll also get, it'll be in the e-newsletter. You'll get a note, an e-news, or a flash, I guess, as we call it. And then Carolyn will be presenting on July 17th with part 4 of our 4-part Hearthstone results series. So yes, absolutely sign up. We will be kind of rounding out these results that we've been sharing, as the team is currently working to draft their results and publicate and start moving forward for publication. We're so grateful for you to come and be a part of this. And if we don't have any other questions, then we will say goodbye for today.
Thank you. Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank
Bye.
you, everybody.